Welcome to The Explainer. Today, instead of cracking open a textbook or some scientific paper, we're diving into this, a really dense technical manual. And our goal isn't just to learn how to operate a device, it's to use these technical specs to unlock the secrets of a surprisingly vast and fascinating global hobby.
All right, so let's jump right in. And wow, okay, at first glance, this looks, well, it looks incredibly complicated, doesn't it? All these ports, all these different connections. This is a diagram straight from the manual for a Kenwood TS-480 amateur radio transceiver. But here's the thing, you gotta look past all that complexity. Because this box, it's not just a piece of hardware, it's a gateway. And we're gonna use this very manual as our guide to explore the deep and honestly surprisingly diverse world of amateur or ham radio. So the manual kicks things off by saying this little device continues a tradition of excellence and innovation, while also pursuing user-friendliness. And you know, that mix of raw power and trying to make it accessible, that's kind of the story of this whole hobby.
So what's the secret sauce here? Well, deep inside this radio, there's this amazing technology called DSP, or digital signal processing. The best way to think about it is like super-powered, really intelligent noise canceling for radio waves. It digitally carves out a clear voice from a sea of static, letting you hear signals that would otherwise be completely lost.
Okay, so how do you actually get this thing fired up and talking to the world? Well, the manual makes one thing crystal clear. This is a little more involved than just, plugging in a new laptop. It's a hands-on experience right from the get-go.
It really comes down to a few main things. You gotta install the radio itself, hook it up to a good, stable power source, and then, and this is the big one, connect it to an antenna. And getting that last part right is absolutely critical because, well, you're playing with some pretty powerful radio frequency energy.
And this right here, this just drives home how real the stakes are. This quote from the manual, that's not just a friendly suggestion. It's a serious, serious warning. This isn't just a fun little hobby. It's a science, and it demands some serious respect for the elements.
Yeah, and this isn't the Wild West of the airwaves either. This is a serious, regulated field. I mean, you see this notice from the FCC? It's a constant reminder that these radios are powerful. You actually have to get a license and learn the rules of the road so you don't accidentally step on vital communications, like, say, pilots or emergency services.
All right, so you've done your homework. You're all set up safely and legally. Now for the fun part. What can you actually do with this box? And let me tell you, it is so much more than just talking.
I mean, sure, the first thing that comes to mind is just talking to people, right? Grabbing a microphone and sending your voice out across the world. But that's just scratching the surface. There are other ways to communicate, some older, and in a lot of situations, way, way better.
And that brings us to a really fascinating question. In today's world of perfect high-def audio, why on earth would anyone still use Morse code? The answer is just pure physics. A Morse code signal is unbelievably simple. It's just a tone that's either on or off. It takes up a tiny, tiny sliver of the radio spectrum, which means it can concentrate all its power. And that razor-sharp simplicity is what lets it slice right through static and travel huge distances when a normal voice signal would just get completely lost in the noise.
And modern tech makes it way easier than you'd think. This radio, for example, has a built-in electronic keyer that helps you send perfect code. It's even got message memories. So picture this, you're in some kind of contest and you have to send the same info over and over again. You can just pre-record it in Morse and then just zap it out with the push of a button.
But wait, there's more. The hobby goes way, way beyond just voice and code. It dives headfirst into this whole digital frontier. We're talking about using the radio to connect computers, creating entire networks that are completely separate from the internet.
So get this, long before most people even had a computer in their home, ham radio operators were sending text over the air using a mode called radio teletype, or RTTY. It's literally what it sounds like, a teletype machine hooked up to a radio, a long-distance typewriter.
And from there, things just get crazier and more efficient. You have modern modes like PSK31, which the manual talks about. This lets you have live keyboard-to-keyboard chats with someone on another continent using less power than a tiny light bulb. It's like the digital equivalent of a whisper being heard all the way around the world.
You can even send pictures. There's a mode called Slow Scan TV, or SSTV, and it does exactly what its name implies. It sends still images, one line at a time, over the air. So you can literally show someone on the other side of the planet what your radio setup looks like.
It gets even crazier. The manual talks about creating entire digital networks using something called packet radio. Hams have built these volunteer-run bulletin board systems that can pass messages from one station to the next, all around the globe. It's a worldwide communication network that is completely, 100%, independent of the regular internet.
Okay, so talking, sending text, even sharing pictures, that's already a ton of stuff, right? But the part that is truly mind-bending, the feature that this manual reveals, is where you can do all this from.
So just imagine this for a second. You've got this big, powerful antenna set up at your house. But you're out hiking, maybe hundreds of miles away, with just a tiny little handheld radio. So how do you tap into all that power you've got sitting back at home?
Well, there's a feature in this manual called Sky Command 2, and it basically turns your home station in your own personal communication satellite. It's wild. Your little handheld acts as the commander, and it sends instructions to the big transporter radio back at your house. So you can talk to the entire world through your massive home base, all from a simple radio that fits in your hand. And if that's not enough for you, it gets even more flexible. You can literally just plug the radio into a computer, and using some special software, you can control the whole thing over the internet from anywhere on the planet. Your home station becomes this remote portal you could access from a laptop in a totally different country. Insane.
So, what do we learn just by digging through this one technical manual? It's that amateur radio. It isn't just one thing. It's this incredible blend of century-old Morse code and brand-new digital networking. It's a global community of tinkerers and builders, and it's a playground for endless hands-on experiments.
Which really just leaves us with one final thought. In a world where we're all connected all the time, through these seamless networks we don't even think about, isn't there something kind of magical about making that connection yourself? About bouncing a simple beam of radio waves off the sky just to talk to a total stranger halfway around the world?